All right, let's now turn our attention to Pakistan, where the Pakistani journalists, believe it or not, are continuing with their protests against a new government law that criminalizes what the government terms is online disinformation. The Federal Union of Journalists in Pakistan is observing a black day today against a government bill that amends the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act 2016. Now, the journalists in Pakistan, believe it or not, have taken to the streets. They are staging a sit-in protest in front of the Parliament House, and they're demanding for the repeal of what they've termed is a black law. Now, the journalists held the demonstration across the country wearing black armbands while covering the event. Now, union offices and press clubs have also been draped in black as a symbol of resistance. The Pakistani journalists have called the proposed amendments as a thin ruse to crack down on dissent by the government. The National Assembly reportedly rushed through the legislation with little warning last week before it was approved by the Senate on Tuesday. Now, this legislation lays down the punishment of up to 3 years in prison for anyone who spreads fake news. Now, this proposed law says that anyone who intentionally spreads, displays or transmits false information, which intends to cause fear, panic or unrest in the society, could face up to 3 years in prison and a fine of over $23,000 or both. Now, the Senate Standing Committee said that the bill primarily seeks to modernize the legislative framework for combating cyber crimes in Pakistan, and it does not seek to muzzle the media, as the journalists claim. Now, the Interior Secretary emphasized that the bill is in fact written in good faith and it aims to protect the general public at large. And WION's Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik has sent us this report from Islamabad. Listen in.
Journalists in Islamabad have been protesting against the draconian legislations under the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act, the PICA Act, that have been introduced by the government, which broadly talks about criminalizing quote-unquote fake news without going into the definition of fake news. It also is increasing at stifling dissent, freedom of speech and freedom of press, and largely the journalists all across the country today have been staging protest demonstrations like these in a bid to urge the government to reverse the draconian legislation that have recently been passed, and they have also urged the government to consult the journalists before introducing such legislations. Anas Malik in Islamabad, Pakistan, for WION World is One.